Everton's finances have been released and they are grim reading. Everton could be in huge PSR trouble. Welcome to your latest Forest news and Everton news. Good morning, good evening, or good night. I hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest video. Coming up in today's video, we're going to talk you through all the ins and outs of Everton, what's happening there, and the impact that could potentially have on Nottingham Forest. We're going to have a very brief look at the fixtures that are coming up and how this could all play out. Don't forget, tonight, Forest are playing Fulham, so all this chat could be pointless because paper football is different to football on the pitch. But before we get into it, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and if you could do me a massive favor and just download SofaScore. The link's pinned in the comments, it's also in the description, or you can scan this QR code with your phones now, and right here you can see all the benefits you get from using SofaScore. Okay, let's jump into this. Now, we know that Everton had previously been breached and they got 10 points, which were reduced to 6 points for an overall £19.5 million overspend on their 105 with PSR. Following so far? Okay, now, our good mate Kieran Maguire has been number crunching, and the figures show that Everton have lost a total of 89.1 million, which is shot up from their previous loss of 44.7 million. Now, I'm sure you're asking, well, where's the 19.5 come from if they were 44.7 before? How does that all work? Basically, you get stuff you can write off. And eventually, their 44 million that they had previously, it was agreed with the Premier League that they could write it off down to about 19.5 million. So the key thing here, and let's keep it as simplistic as possible because we're not all accountants there, but in theory what you can say is Everton have jumped up from 44 million to about 90 million, so gone up double. So potentially with write-offs and things like that, you would expect their overall breach to be double what it was last time. So 19.5 million, basically it's going to go up to 39 million. However, on top of that, Everton's write-offs were a lot to do with things to do with their stadium, with the war in Ukraine, some of the investment they couldn't get in, etc. A lot of that was written off, and they may not be given the same leeway this time round. I think what you can comfortably say is that Everton's breach is going to be bigger this time than it was last time. So, with what we know on PSR, we know that 3 points is pretty much guaranteed if you go a penny over, unless you've got mitigating circumstances. They then add a further 3 points for a significant breach of PSR, and then they look to see if they can add any mitigation. Now, on top of that, we know the backstop technically is the Portsmouth case, which is 9 points for going into administration. There is talks that Everton are getting even close to that right now. This whole financial mess is becoming very, very bad for Everton and their fans. So there's a lot of rumours at the moment going around that Everton are going to be docked 5 points. It may be 5 points, but what I'll tell you now, it's all BS, man. It's like the whole thing when we had it, when we got our 4 points. Everyone was saying 6, 7, 8, I heard 30. It was just people trying to, basically what people are trying to do is second guess what the points are. If they're right, they're going to sing to the world, say, I told you so. My in-the-know source told me. If they're wrong, they ain't going to say nothing about it. So it just like with the Forest thing, no one knows. As we told you here, no one knew. Anyway. So their results is going to come out by the 8th of April. So within the next week, we will know how much damage has been done to Everton. Now, technically, this is a good thing for Forest, but it's a dirty good thing in my opinion. As you guys all know, I've completely changed my stance from when they first got their 10 points to what's happening to them now. I'd rather the business was done on the pitch and that we were better on Everton and finished higher than them based on performances on the pitch. But this is the world we live in, so I'm not here gloating against the Everton fans because they may end up getting less than Forest, who knows. But I'm just giving you guys the facts of the matter. So if we work on the assumption that Everton gets 6 points, now let's take it back to what's important, and that's the football. And what I've done here, I've lined up the 3 main contenders for that final relegation spot. Just obviously Everton, Forest and Luton. Could argue Brentford, I'm not convinced. Their running's quite easy, but it's going to be one of these 3. Hopefully not us. Now, first thing to note is that Everton have 1 extra game. That extra game technically is against Liverpool at home. Most of the Everton fans are probably writing it off. But I think what's important to note with Everton is the teams they are playing that are in and around their battle. So obviously there's the Everton Forest game here. You've also got the Everton Brentford game. Brentford not technically out of it. You got the Luton game as well, and then the Sheffield United, and of course the Burnley game coming up. Now we could add Burnley into this. I think it all depends what Burnley do this week and at the weekend when they play Everton. Could they be back in it? It's still a tall order for Burnley. I've done the maths. I reckon they need at least 15 more points, and when you look at their fixtures, I don't think they're quite in it, but we will see. Maybe we revisit this a week or 2 down the road. So as you can see, the games I've circled here, there's 2, 4, 5 games that are completely key here for Everton. All barring 1 are at home. Now, it depends really your mindset. If you're an Everton fan, you look at this and you think to yourself, okay, they're at home. We beat them. It's a 6-pointer. But Everton have been probably better away from home than they have at home. And I don't think the Everton fans will be that confident. And the reverse effect implies to that. Yes, if you beat, say, Burnley, you gap them. But if then Burnley beat you, it turns into the reverse 6-pointer. So this is tough times for Everton. Now, with the points coming, they should be in time for this Everton-Burnley game, at least the results of the appeal. And that in itself will be interesting. Will that demotivate Everton? Or will what happened to them when they got their 10 points happen and invigorate them to kind of stick 2 fingers up and kick on forward? But if you look at these Everton points, as we said, the total they can get is about, what, 37? You need 32. How many of these games? They would have to not mess up in one of these, max 2 games, to not get to 32 points. And on paper, yes, they could do it, but it could be a tall order for them, especially with the lack of goals they currently have. So I'm not convinced Everton can get to 30, let alone 32. But then when I come to our team, Forest, I'm not sure where I see 32 points either. To remind you guys, we're on 22 points. We need to find 10 points. If we look at this, if you on paper put the guaranteed points, you would say 3 against Sheffield United, or Sheffield, sorry, should I say, and 3 against Burnley. That's 6 points. That's, you could argue that's 2/3 of the way there pretty much. And we've got to find 4 points from somewhere else. Now, tonight is huge, and we'll come on to that in a second. If we say we draw with Wolves, and let's say we draw with Everton, that brings us up to, what, 6, 7, 8 points. We then need to find 2 points from these other games. Now, you'd probably say nothing from Man City, and probably nothing, as much as I hate Spurs, from Spurs. So we're still looking at 2 points between Chelsea and Fulham. And I think this makes this Fulham game huge, because we have to win it. If you break it down to these numbers, black and white on the screen, and yes, maybe I'm being conservative with the Wolves game because Wolves got a lot of injuries, Neto's out, etc. But can you really see it coming to the stage here? Let's say, God forbid, we lose to Fulham, and we've only picked up 2 points going into this Sheffield match. We're going to need to get a lot of points. 2, 6, so what's that? 7, 8. We'll have to beat Chelsea as well. We will have to go 3-3-3 WWW at the end of the season to get to 33, because we won't be able to get to 32 technically. When was the last time we won 3 in a row? This is getting really tight. But then if you look at Luton, look, let's hope and pray they get nothing from there. Let's write off the matches where they're not going to get any points on paper again. Man City away, Arsenal away. You would probably say they'll struggle against Wolves and maybe at West Ham. Now, where they can get some points, maybe at Bournemouth, let's say a draw. Brentford, there's a good chance they could beat Brentford. Let's give them 3 there for argument's sake. And let's say they draw with Everton. That puts them on 1, 2, 5. Can they beat Fulham on the last day? If they do that, that puts them on 8. And 8 plus their 22 puts them on 30. Whatever way you look at this, this is going down to the wire. But Everton may have just really hurt themselves with this PSR. Again, let's add up their points. Let's say they get 6 points based on the maths and logic we currently know. That puts them down to 19 points. I can't see them winning there. Maybe they get 3 points against Burnley. Against Chelsea away, I don't see it. Against Forest, let's just call that one a draw. Against Liverpool, you would expect Liverpool to win. Against Brentford, maybe they can win. Against Luton away, tough one there, could be 1. Against Sheffield, 3 win. And against Arsenal, 0. So technically, if I'm being quite generous here to Everton, you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. 11 to their 19 brings them to 30 as well. It's making me more nervous. I don't like this video. Let's not look at this screen anymore. Who's going down? From what you've seen there, guys, let me know your thoughts on who finishes in that bottom 3. Do any of you think Burnley can pull themselves back into it? What I do know is this is going to be a huge week, both with Everton's PSR coming out and with some key games on the pitch. As always, you won't miss any of the action here on FFTV. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We'll be back at 7:15 for what I feel now is a huge game against Fulham. We got to do it on the pitch. Nuno, get your team sheet right, buddy. Get your team sheet right. I believe in you still. If you've enjoyed the content, if it scared you, hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you're new. And we'll see you at 7:15. And bring a fresh pair of pants. Come on, you Reds.